Welcome to Talkin Bout It, where we talk about it. Professional basketball player Dwyane Wade famously once said, "Knock me down 7 times and watch me get back up 8 times." Overcoming adversity is crucial to living a satisfying and successful life. On this episode, we will be joined by former television production student Tom Bryde, who thrived for 20 glorious months only to tragically stumble at the finish line. Unlike professional basketball player Dwyane Wade, Tom never got back up. What happened? Why did it happen? What could he have done differently? And finally, 1 year after this failure, what is he doing now? Tom, thanks for joining us. I know this is not comfortable for you.
Thanks for having me.
Tom, you grew up in a beautiful suburb. You had 2 very supportive parents. So far, you seem like a pleasant enough man. I guess what I want to know is, how did it all go so terribly wrong?
Now hold on, I have to disagree with the premise of your question. Sure, I flunked out of school. Sure, I work at a gas station. Sure, my shift at that gas station is the graveyard shift. And yes, I've been robbed at gunpoint at said gas station over 10 times in the last 12 months. But I wouldn't characterize myself as a loser or how did it all go so wrong? I don't know if it went wrong. Maybe I was meant to work at a gas station. Lots of successful, happy Americans work at gas stations.
Okay. I didn't want to offend you, Tom. Why don't we talk about your career at MATC?
Sure. I came to MATC after spending some time at different universities that didn't quite match my skill set and my abilities. So I came to MATC looking to experience something new. And I found something I enjoyed in the television production department.
Sure.
I had great teachers for my 20 months or so that I was here. And Glenn Riley was a huge help as my first year instructor. Bob Match, the editing teacher in the first year, was great. And then of course in my second year, Kevin Poles was, a giant help to me. And I couldn't have gotten as far as I did without their encouragement and their help.
Well, obviously we're going to talk about your lowlights, Tom, but right now let's talk about a few of your highlights at school.
My successes. Sure, that won't take too much time. There was my attempt at being the executive producer of Letters to Santa. I don't know if that went over great, but we got all 6 shows on the air. And I was really proud of my classmates and the work they did. And I think I did an okay job holding up my end of the deal. It was certainly a new experience, and I'm glad that I did that.
Well, that all seems very exciting, and honestly, it makes what happened to you seem even more tragic. Why don't we talk a little bit about student operations?
Sure. Student operations. I knew we would get here eventually. I'm pretty sure this is the whole reason I'm here, is it not? Student operations is a huge project, our final project. And I was responsible for producing a 26-minute, 46-second television show. And there were really no parameters outside of that. I decided to do a cooking show starring myself, which I thought was a great idea because, as you can see, I'm fantastic on camera, obviously. And basically from the moment I turned the cameras on, it was a complete disaster. Lights weren't working. The camera wouldn't stay on the tripod. It kept falling over. It would run and catch it just before. I should have seen that as a sign of things to come, certainly. But I've never been one to look at signs. I go right through, a yield sign. It's what I do. to why I'm here. I shot about 3/4 of the footage that I needed for my show, for my student operations show, when disaster struck. So I never really got a chance to see my footage, and to I assume that it would have been terrible because, you know.
Well, Tom, we have a bit of a surprise for you. I hope you'll forgive us, but we wanted to get as raw a reaction as possible. This is television, after all. You know, our crack editing team here at Talkin Bout It was able to get their hands on the raw footage you shot that fateful afternoon when everything you worked so hard for came to a crashing climax. Literally. So, they put it together, and here, ladies and gentlemen, Tom Bryde here in studio, all across the world, I give you the world premiere of The Board. Hello, and thank you for joining me. My name is Tom Bryde. I am a professional chef and an amateur eater, and welcome to my... Hold on a second. Let's go back. Strike that, reverse it. I am an amateur chef and a professional eater. And welcome to my kitchen. You know, on today's show, we will be cooking breakfast and we will be cooking dinner. For breakfast, we will be having pancakes, and for dinner, we will be having chicken quesadillas. Now, if you're anything like me, and I assume that you are naturally, lunch is a meal you don't have every day. And when you do have it, you eat it from a drive-through window or off of a cafeteria tray. So it's not my expertise, and so I will not be making it. We will be making delicious, delicious breakfast and delicious, delicious dinner. You know, pancakes, which we'll be starting with, are a very old food. They've been eaten by the ancient Greeks, the ancient Romans. Colonial Americans loved pancakes. Now, my recipe isn't quite that old, but it was passed down to me by my mother, who got it from her mother. So, in a way, it is old. So, without further ado, let's get started. Well, obviously, Tom, we're off to a rocky start. This can't be easy for you. No one likes to see their failures in HD, you know. Shaquille O'Neal, he never watches footage of his free throw attempts. Or at least that's what he told me. But I think we owe it to ourselves, you and I, and to the audience at home to finish what we started. So if it's okay with you, I'd like to continue watching The Board. Okay, so to make this recipe, you'll need 1 large egg, a 1/2 teaspoon of sugar, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 2 tablespoons of melted butter, a 1/2 cup of milk, and 2/3 cup of flour. This recipe should give you about enough pancakes for 2 to 3 people, so if you're looking for more, feel free to double that recipe, which is very simple to do. I think you'll find that this recipe is very delicious, and hopefully it will convince you to throw away those boxes of pre-made mixes, which just create such flat, flavorless pancakes that it really embarrasses the name pancake, and we don't want to do that. Dry ingredients in the bowl with the large ingredients. From there, we're going to stir that all up until the batter has a nice thick consistency, but there are still a few lumps there to provide texture.
let that sit, and we'll turn to our griddle, which will get that going. You're gonna want that to be at a 400 to 375 temperature, or above medium, below too high. Okay, so to be honest, Tom, that was terrible. But I still don't see any reason why you couldn't get back up on the horse. Try again. What is it about this failure that knocked you so thoroughly on your behind? I guess my decision not to return to school stemmed less from the bad footage that I shot, the poor program that I would have produced. Instead, it's mostly because I broke the camera that day. You know, the tripod was all janky and difficult to work, and I took a step away to get a drink of water, and all of a sudden I heard it, you know. God, I'll never forget it. The camera just came crashing down. And the lens broke off, the viewfinder snapped. It looked like there was, computer guts spilling out of it. It was upsetting. Very upsetting. Destroying thousands of dollars in equipment in the pursuit of a honestly not so good show. I can see why you felt the need to run and hide. Tom, it's been over a year now, though, and I wonder if you ever think about going back. You know, my time at MATC in the television video production program was, for the most part, incredible. You know, I met a lot of fun, interesting people that I, still consider friends. I haven't seen them because, I'm so ashamed of what happened. But I'd like to think that if we ran into each other in the streets, we would say hi and be able to, pick up where we left off. But as for, actually going back, I can't imagine going back until I can afford to pay for that camera that I broke. And seeing as I do work at a gas station, it's going to take some time for me to save up that money. God, when I think back to the moments after I broke that camera, those are moments that I really never want to relive again, It just plays in my head every time I try to go to bed. Ugh. Well, Tom, we have another surprise for you. I know. The camera, although terribly broken, was not rendered completely useless. Talkin Bout It's incredible engineers were able to salvage most of your tapes. And although there is no true quality accompaniment videos, there is plenty of audio available. So why don't you and I take a listen? And I think that these audio clips will really help everyone out there understand exactly your state of mind during these terrible events. What the? Oh no. 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 No, 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 no. No, this can't. Oh my. No. Oh God, Kevin's gonna kill me. Oh God, what? I'm moving to Mexico. Oh my God. How frickin' tripod are you? How? No. No. What am I going to do? Okay. I'm gonna tell him that Monty broke it. Yep, having a panic attack. Oh boy. Oh my God, this is not good. I'm gonna flunk. Oh my God. Yeah, that was really painful, just like I thought it would, so thanks for that. Listening to that did make me think of, all the different things I would have done differently, if I could go back.
I wonder if there's one thing in particular that you would have done differently, looking back.
I guess one thing in particular that I would do differently would be to check my tripod before I went on my shoot. And it's so embarrassing because I'm actually, when I was at school, I worked in the equipment checkout department. So it was my job to check all the equipment before it went out. And yet, naturally, because of my lack of due diligence, I was punished, and it was my camera that broke, not anyone else's, unfortunately. Because that would have been, a lot easier to live with if if someone else had broken the camera.
What advice would you give to students similar to yourself, students who have trouble self-motivating and getting things done on time?
Yeah, I do have, some advice, I guess. When it comes to, to organizing and planning a shoot, the more you procrastinate, the harder it's going to be. I used to think that I could just, whip something up in 48 hours, produce a whole half-hour show, and, I learned from that experience that rushing that comes with, trying to do something in 48 hours, that leads to bad decisions. And bad decisions lead to tragic mistakes. Mistakes like breaking a camera.
Tom, that just about does it for us here on Talkin Bout It. And I'd like to close by saying, first of all, thank you. Thank you for coming on our show and telling us your very difficult story. I think that what you've shared today will help others. Every day, millions of students across the country wake up and decide to not do their homework today, decide to push a project off for another day, decide to procrastinate, as you put it. And I think by seeing just how wrong things can go when you decide to take those actions, hopefully they will learn from your mistakes. It is my hope that you are able to rise up from these dirty, dirty ashes and overcome your shame, overcome your anxiety, and find a way to do what you love, to make television. I think that although the board maybe does not show what kind of talent you have, you and I both know that you're capable of something better, something more. So I hope that after exercising these demons that we did today, that you will be able to move on and restart your career. Well, for everyone here at Talkin Bout It, I would like to say thank you to Tom.
Sure, I'm glad that I agreed to do this. This was more fun than I thought it would be.
Have a good night, have a better day tomorrow, and good luck with all of that. That didn't look easy, but I think you did okay. Yeah. All right, well, that's a wrap for us.